Hello, hello, hello. How is everyone? Welcome to day two of the Always Journal for Forgiveness work. We are here tonight. Please let me know if you can hear me okay. Make sure that I don't monkey like I did last night at the very beginning. If you can just kind of give me a thumbs up or let me know that you can hear me clear. So tonight is going to be a lot better because now I can see my chat. I can see the interaction. So I'm very excited about that. So those of you who are new here, welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Alicia Johnson, and I am here this evening to continue with our journaling for forgiveness work. This work has been curated so that everyone who can learn how to live a more fulfilled life by embracing forgiveness. And so, to give you a recap of the work we are doing, the recap is that first of all, forgiveness is the tool that heaven uses to keep you malleable in the head. Because it is very important to understand that forgiveness is a very important gift in our toolbox. It's a very important gift that heaven has given us. And it is our responsibility to open up that gift and to use. And when you start using the gift of forgiveness, your entire life is going to change. I promise you that your entire life is going to. So I'm very, very, very excited about that. So tonight we are continuing on. We are working from Always Journal for Forgiveness journal. And so in the chat, I'm not sure if my assistant is on here yet, but if he will put in the chat the link if you want to get a copy of the prompts or the journal or whatever so you can follow along, you can feel free to do that. But forgiveness is, how can I put it? This is like my assignment, one of my many assignments that God has given. Those assignments as it relates to forgiveness is helping everyone who chooses to understand forgiveness from a very powerful level. And so forgiveness is the tool that has helped to heal my marriage, heal my finances, to heal the relationship with my children, to build this community, to do all of the things that I need to my lifetime while I am here on earth. And so this is why I am a big proponent for forgiveness, because forgiveness in so many ways keeps you rigid. Forgiveness keeps you stuck. For unforgiveness rather keeps you stuck. Unforgiveness keeps you locked in a fixed location. And so in order to free yourself and in order to rise higher, you must the power of forgiveness. So this 30-day process, and that's one of the things that you have to understand, is that you're not going to go from 0 to 60 overnight as it relates to forgiveness. You will not go from 0 to 60 overnight. But what I can promise is that if you don't give up, heaven won't give up. And forgiveness is one of those things where you can't say that you've gone through forgiveness one or two times. Forgiveness is an ongoing work. But the key to powerful forgiveness is giving yourself a fighting chance. Giving yourself a fighting chance by allowing yourself the opportunity to clear out all of the old things so that on a daily basis, all you have to do is maintenance. So many people are stuck and in a very non-productive place because the forgiveness piece has not been taught powerfully enough. When I started to do forgiveness work, it's funny simply because hopefully this will help some people tonight. I think I was a very forgiving person. I used to, if something happened to me, that I could let it go. And so, an example of that is, let's say hypothetically, you argument and you are really upset and you say some things that you don't want to say, you cuss somebody out, you hit whatever you do, okay? And you get that out of your system. Now, let's say that a year or two later, someone gets upset with you, they say something out of their mouth, they say something that really hurts you. But you remember the time that you did it. You remember the time that you realized that, hey, I was just having a bad day. This person may have been having a bad day as well. And so, able to forgive them. I thought for a long time that that was forgiveness. And what heaven was showing me is that that was just leveling the playing field. That was just saying I did it to someone, and so someone has done it to me, so I understand. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's forgiveness. Forgiveness means forgiving things that you do not understand. Forgiving things that you have absolutely no idea why this thing happened to you. And this is what truth is. When Jesus teaches, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do, that's a powerful statement. That's a very powerful platform. Because when you understand the truth of who God has created you to be, you understand the assignment that God has given you, you learn to forgive, you learn to forgive quickly, and you learn to forgive others for they know not what they do. Because when you are in alignment with the truth of who God has created you to be, you're going to be offended. You're going to be put in situations where people don't understand. And what I mean by that is that a lot of times when God places you in a position of doing things bigger, doing things better, doing things differently, people will not understand. And because of that lack of understanding, people will lash out at you of their limited perception. And that happened a lot to me as it relates to my parenting style. One of the things interesting as I started to move more into this process and go deeper into this journey is that to learn, and this may help some parents out here, those people that will catch the replay, those people that will listen later, is that for the time I struggled with my parenting. I struggled with being a good parent because I was trying to mimic and to mock the other things that I saw other people doing. The techniques that I wanted to adopt that I read about, the books that I read, and all of those things. The things that was very interesting for me is that God had to help me to realize that everyone's parenting style is different. You have been created to match the scenarios in your life accordingly. So one of the things years ago with my children, I used to always try to punish them, if you will, in a way that the punishment matched what they did. And so to do, I'm probably going to date myself, but back in the day, we used to have the cable boxes, and the cable boxes had those little cards in them that you would take in and out. When we would put our children on punishment, we would actually take the cards out of the boxes and take them and I would take them to work with me, and my husband would put them in his bag or whatever. And what my kids did, they used to have an extra card. So every time we took the cards, they would just use the one that they had. And so all this time I'm thinking that I'm being very savvy and I'm being very creative with my punishment and with my parenting. And another thing that we would do, we would like take computers with us. We would pack them and put them in the trunk. We would take devices and all of that. And the one thing we used to do was lock the cell phones. And we would lock the cell phones. And then I learned over the course of time that if you dial 911 could unlock the phone. All of the parental controls that you put on, it may be different now, but all of the parental controls we put on, they would disappear. because they would do 911 and so reset the phone. So that was frustrating for me. And meditation time, one of the things that God told me and helped me to understand was that your punishments don't, your limited understanding is more frustrating than anything. I was like, trust me on this. Allow circumstances to take hold. Allow the circumstances to correct. Allow the circumstances, the consequence to be the punishment. The first time I did that, and one of my children got into trouble and they were waiting for the punishment. I was like, no punishment. We'll just all wait. We're gonna watch like a movie. We're gonna watch. We like gonna pop popcorn and just watch and see what the circumstances, what the consequences are gonna be. Oh my goodness, the excitement that comes because everybody's surprised. So when something would happen to one of my kids as a result of something that they did before, when something would happen and a consequence would catch up with them, they're wondering. They're constantly wondering, is this the consequence of my action before? Is this something new? What is this? So it helps to self-regulate. And that's a very powerful thing. And what God began to show me was that when I started to parent that way, that was assisting me in having children do less as by way of forgiveness work. And what I mean by that is that a lot of times we're angry with our parents, we're angry with our teachers, we're angry with so many people because of the things that they've done. Well, if you remove yourself from the equation and you allow this to take hold, that's one less thing they have to forgive you for, simply because that's between them and God. So this forgiveness work that we are entering into is going to be a lot of fun, simply because we're going to see things the way we used to see them. We're going to be able to see situations from a higher perspective. And we're going to allow ourselves to adapt to new tools to allow us to move higher. So last night, day one, we worked on our dedication as it relates to the forgiveness work. So if you missed last night's session, then please, the video is out there. You can go back and listen to day one, and it's called the dedication. If this is your first night here, then feel free, please, to like and subscribe, and you'll get notifications when we go live. We'll be going live every night, Monday through Friday, for 30 days until we get through this journaling challenge. So one thing you have to understand is that I'm in this for the long term. This is my life's calling. So this is not a race for me. This is not 12 steps to healing. This is not do these 6 steps and your entire life is going to change. I don't make those kinds of promises. You're not, as I said before, going to go from 0 to 60 overnight. But if you keep showing up for yourself in spirit and in truth, if you keep showing up relentlessly, if you start to do things in a different way, heaven is going to advance you. But the one thing that you have to understand is that you're not going to be able to heal in the same time frame that you were hurt. 12 hours for God, 12 hours for man. Where you are hurt in the world, only God can heal that. So if you were hurt, let's say at 4 p.m. in the afternoon, then you're not going to be healed at 4 p.m. in the afternoon. You're going to be healed at 4 a.m. in the morning. Never go back to the place where you were hurt for your healing. This is why this journaling work is so important. And this is one of the reasons why we're doing it in the evening between 8 and 8:30 every night so that you have a very powerful place to come before you close your day. 30 minutes a night is absolutely nothing if you compare it to the magnitude of God's blessing. 30 minutes a night dedicated to your healing is worth its weight in gold. I promise you that. So we're now on day 2, and today's assignment is your God letter. Today, your assignment is to reread your dedication so that you will remain pinpoint accurate in your journaling focus. Write a letter to yourself from God. Why? A letter written to you from God helps to ratify the contract and seal the deal. Benefit. The goal of the God letter is knowing that you and the Creator have entered into a working relationship. You should never forget that you and God are in this process together. Day 2, your God letter. Prayerfully, you'll take your time in the evenings to journal through this process so that you can begin to rest easier, so that you can truly learn how to lay your burdens down and to give them to the Lord. Your God letter is one of the 3 components, I'm holding up 5 fingers, one of the 3 components that solidify the process of what it is that we do in this journaling community. As you are penning your God letter, one of the things that you have to understand is that heaven is such a willing participant in our healing. Heaven wants us to win more than we could ever imagine. When you sit to write your God letter, take that dedication that you wrote last night and imagine yourself as a little child. The reason that you have to imagine yourself as a little child is because we are taught that the only way you can truly enter into the kingdom is to become as one of these, as one of the little children. Little children have such pure hearts. They're trusting, they're loving, they're curious. You have to take on that characteristic or those characteristics in order to fully understand what heaven wants to deliver to you. So imagine, close your eyes and imagine yourself as a little child. And you're imagine ripping that dedication out of your journal and you're giving it to a loving parent. And you're saying, "Can you read this? Will you read this and can you tell me if you can help me with this?" Imagine a loving parent reading it. And that's God. Imagine a loving and supporting parent saying, of course, my child, I will help you with this. This is such a wonderful assignment. Yes, we can do this. We can do this together." But what people have a problem with is understanding their voice, this voice, the world's voice, or God's voice. And so, prayerfully, I can clear that up for you tonight. If you are giving that dedication and asking for help from yourself, you yourself are going to be more difficult and harder than God ever would be. Because you would probably say something like, "Oh, really? You trying something new again? How long is this gonna last? Remember the last time you went on that whole 40-day fast? You remember how you ended up with that? By day 10, you had gained 5 pounds. Girl, go somewhere." Remember the last time you said you were going to give up lying for Lent? You doubled your quotient. Girl, go ahead and sit down somewhere. So that's your voice. Your voice is going to bring up the past. Your voice is going to bring up whatever you remember. The world's voice is going to sound like eye for an eye. They hit you, you hit them back and hit them harder. If people are not going to accept you as you are, then you need to put all these boundaries up, and you need to just separate yourself from them, and it's a lot of work. The world will have you doing a whole lot of work. How many times have you tried this with this person? Statistics say that if you do a certain thing so many times and it doesn't work, then it won't work. The world has facts and figures for everything, and research and documentation. So you don't want to listen to the world's voice. You don't want to listen to your voice. In this scenario, you only want to listen to your God voice. Your God voice is very loving. Your God voice is here to assist you. Forgiveness is one of those tools, if you will, that you dig out of your treasure chest. On earth as it is in heaven, for everything in the natural, there's a parallel and corresponding occurrence in the supernatural. I remember when my son used to go to camp over the summer. And I am a mother. I am human. I make mistakes. Even in my humanness, even in all of my mistakes, I wanted to make sure that our son had everything possible in his trunk. Look, there's some extra snacks in there. It's some money all the way at the bottom. It's some umbrellas in there in case, you break one. I put two. It's a whole lot of underwear. It's some t-shirts. It's this, it's that. I got like 3 pair extra shoes. This, that, the other. You overpack. And when they come back from camp, they've only used like maybe a third of the stuff, but you packed. So I had peace of mind knowing that at least he had in in close proximity things that he needed, because I would be such a far distance away and couldn't get to him. The same thing applies to God in heaven. The trip that we took from heaven to earth was a long distance trip. And before we arrived here on earth through our mother's womb, heaven packed within us everything that we will need for this journey. And one of those things that heaven packed in our bag was the gift of forgiveness. Heaven has given us all the gift of forgiveness to use as needed. Another thing that was packed in our bag was the opportunity to communicate with heaven at any time, any place, anywhere, any scenario, any circumstance. And that communication channel, that communication device is called prayer. Prayer is the tool that heaven has given us so that we can stay in constant communication with heaven. Most people are not operating in their full capacity because they have not unpacked their entire bag. They have not unpacked their entire chest. So many people negate what heaven has given us, and we go after the things that the world shows us. There are so many people chasing money without realizing all of the other treasures that are available. So, my job here during this time, during my assignment, is to help people to open up their treasure chests, to understand the power of true provision, to understand the, how can I put it, the time release formula that is encoded in forgiveness. So, my assignment is to make sure that if you cross my path, that your assignment is fulfilled. So once again, every night for the next, well, now we're at 28 days. We've done 2 already. I will be here every Monday, every weeknight, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. from 8 to 8:30. My assignment is to make sure that you have at least one of the tools by way of forgiveness that you need. And it is at the end of the process that the reward comes. So my prayer for you is that you remain consistent in the work. This right here costs you nothing. This is an investment of your time and a willingness to release all of your troubles. And if this cost is too much for you, you will never truly accomplish the greater things in life. All right, everybody. So it is 8:31. So I want to thank you so much for joining me this evening. Remember to like and subscribe so that you can get the notifications when we go live tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will be here. Feel free to re-listen to the replays. If you did not catch last night, you can go back and listen to that one. Please feel free to invite everyone who chooses, anyone you know who needs to deal and to work through forgiveness work, then please invite them. The more the merrier. The more that you give, the more you can receive. You can never outgive God. Never. When heaven gives you an assignment, heaven encourages you and strengthens you to see it through. I'm not going to take it any easier on you than God did with me. These 30 minutes a night are life-changing and life-saving. Please don't hit yourself with the excuse that I'm too tired. All you have to do is listen. Please don't hit the excuse, I'll do it next time. That's very arrogant because you are assuming you know more than heaven. Do not shortchange yourself of the opportunity as higher because it just won't fit into your schedule. When it is a God assignment, God can rearrange the entire world to get it done. the next 28 days, eliminate every single excuse that you may have and allow heaven to do a complete work. All right. I love you all, and I will see you all tomorrow night. Have a good one.